Welcome to Agents Growth Academy. Get ready to grow big or go home. Class is now in session. I've got Heath Shearon, the mayor. He's a second-generation insurance professional, creator of the Insurance Town podcast, celebrating 100 episodes, I think today or tomorrow. An agency, and he's also with Agency Performance Partners. He's their newest performance coach, working with Kelly Donahue-Perot. He built a successful agency before transitioning to the carrier side, working with hundreds of insurance agencies throughout his career as a marketing representative and consultant. Heath has a natural ability to network and build relationships. He's parlayed that into a career in consulting with agencies all over the country in sales strategies, niche marketing, relationship building, cross-selling, customer retention, M&A, developing culture, and a whole host of other things. Heath is a strong believer of the accountability factor in coaching and enjoys working with agencies, both large and small. In the past 2 years, he spent time working on his own brand of Insurance Town, which I mentioned before, working with agencies to help them develop their own branding. Ooh, I love that. And developing a culture for their business. Through accountability and consulting, he's helped agencies to grow and achieve their goals, oftentimes exceeding them. By joining the team at Agency Performance Partners, Heath is able to serve his customers more effectively by working alongside a team of professionals, highly regarded and deeply entrenched in the industry that he loves so much. Welcome to Agents Growth Academy, the mayor, Heath Shearon.
What's going on, Jim? How are you, bro?
I am doing well, sir, but not quite as well as you, celebrating 100 episodes on your podcast, man. Way to
Dude,
go.
incredible. It's crazy. And you'll be there before you know it, man. It's crazy. You keep doing it, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. I had a good friend of mine surprise me with a
I,
tribute video,
I saw that,
and
Mitch.
Miss Gibson took care of me, bro. So it
Yeah.
was cool to see people, and I was crying like a baby last night watching that video.
I love it. I love it, man. That's awesome. Yeah, Mitch is a
Yeah,
cool
buddy.
guy, and that was an awesome video. You even had
Yeah, it really
like
was.
you had some star power in there too. That was pretty cool.
I did. I did. So.
You know, one thing when I was reading your intro, I noticed, and I don't know that I picked up on this before, but you're big on branding. And I just started a book called it's something about building a story brand. Have you read that?
No, I have not.
It is awesome, and especially if you're into like storytelling as a means of communication. It is. I'm only 50 pages in, but it is unbelievable, and it's basically like the first concept that I've that kind of blew my mind was, hey, we're not the heroes of our customer stories like we think we are. They are the heroes. We're the guide. We're like Yoda. We're like, we're like Haymitch from, we're not Katniss Everdeen. We're the guide, right? So it was kind of cool. Kind of blew my mind. Made me start thinking about like, how are we going to start not rebranding ourselves, but just better branding ourselves. So
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just cool. Maybe we'll get on to topic about that. But hey, we had you on because you're really big on networking and relationships. And when I asked you like off mic, what if this were a master class, what would you be teaching? You said networking and relationships will always be key to success. So was there like a pivotal moment for you when you realized that, or how did that become a thing for you?
Man, I'll tell you, for me, I've always been involved in industry associations. I've always been one to go to whether it's local or national, or I just got back from IAOA recently.
Yeah.
But early on in my career, when I came into the business at, 22 years old, 21 years old, I didn't know a soul. I didn't know anything. And my boss at the time, I was working for a work comp broker, took me to a conference as a young pup, didn't know anything. And he said, you know, get out there and meet as many people as you can, soak up all the knowledge you can. And while I was there, that was kind of the beginning of my branding. And back then I was, loud and crazy and
Oh, you're not
21,
now?
right? Right. Still am. But,
See?
I was, yeah, I was just one of these. kids, I just loved people, and I loved getting involved with people, and I loved hanging out. And so anyhow, those relationships that I evolved, and got into over time just really helped me to grow. It gave me opportunities to find jobs, gave me opportunities to write more business, gave me opportunities for everything that I've done in my career. And I was one of the only company reps to ever serve on the board of directors for our local association here. And I got involved in the young agent stuff. I got involved in everything I could as a carrier rep and as a producer and agency owner and the whole nine. And so it just meant a lot to me. And then to further answer your question, the more and more technology gets introduced to our industry, I realize that it doesn't matter how much technology you still have to have that human connection, and you
Yeah,
still have to network, and you still have to have these moments. You and I
yeah,
are on camera, but it's still a face-to-face interaction,
sure.
and I think that's important. That important that pressing flesh, shaking hands, kissing babies. That's always going to be important.
Yeah, so then obviously the last 2 years have been anything but that, except for the Zoom calls. Uh,
Right.
and for those that are still, afraid to come out of their caves, or maybe just gotten complacent and or just used to working through Zoom, how do they still build relationships? How do they network?
Man, it's the same thing. I mean, early on in the COVID and the pandemic, whatever you want to call it, it was there was a whole lot of there's a trend of like Zoom happy hours, and people would have these little you know trivia games or happy hour nights or whatever. You'd have your screen full of boxes, and you would be
Yeah,
talking and hanging out. But to me, it was still networking.
yeah,
And then I went to several of the events that were really cool that I was in part of. Was they'd have little breakout rooms within Zoom, and it was kind of
yeah,
neat to be able to go to a breakout room and talk to people. But I think no matter what, regardless of if you're live or on Zoom or Ecamm or whatever it might be, you've still got to have that relationship building. And I've built a ton of relationships. Like for example, you mentioned Mitch Gibson.
yeah,
Guy's one of my best friends in the world. We've never met face to face,
yeah,
never, which is
yeah,
crazy. But over
yep,
the last 2 years, we talk every week on the phone. He called me 10 minutes before I got on this call. I was at the grocery store, and he called me up, and we were just chit chatting as I'm going through getting my milk and eggs. And so, I mean, people like that, Jason Cass, some of the people, Ryan Haley, some
yeah,
of the people I know now, Kelly, some of these people I know I've never met face to face, but
yeah.
yet so closely related to. And I'm so, friendly with, and we talk every day and we relate on LinkedIn or on Facebook. And so social media has brought people a lot closer too.
Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. Like, just from me doing, I think this is close to 20 episodes for me, meeting people and then developing relationships on and off mic has been just game changing for me. And I've had, to be quite candid, I love my agents. I love my agency, and I will always love y'all. I've had so much fun in the last couple months doing this. And I don't know what it is. I think it's just because I'm like able to get out of my office and work on something that is, kind of a passion project, but also meeting people, learning from people like you, being able to occasionally even teach people um, when they let me. um, but it was funny. I was on a show with Gabe O. Do you know him? We we
No,
we
not
talked.
familiar.
Yeah, he and I talked. He's out in Seattle, and he and I talked. I got him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and we were mid show, and he was like, "By the way, I'm going to embarrass you." I was like, "What the heck do you mean?" He's like, "You and I actually know each other." I was like, "Oh no, really? Do I just not remember you?" He's like, "Yeah, man. Like maybe 10 years ago, you were big into social media and video marketing and all this stuff, and I reached out to you, and you asked if I could have 20 minutes of your, or I asked if I could have 20 minutes of your time. You said yeah, and we talked for like an hour, and I was like, oh man, I totally remember that, but I completely forgot that until you said it." but
Oh, that's
but
hilarious.
but before and after that, I mean, we were just like is like fast friends. He just sent me a care package of stuff from Seattle. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like just making fast friends in the industry and being
Yeah,
able to share knowledge with each other
sure.
and
What's even crazier is you talk about that. I don't know if you know a guy named Mike Fusco, but he's out in California,
okay.
and I was able to refer him a piece of business that he wrote for a tech startup that was looking out in California for some insurance for their startup. He was like, "You know any agents in California?" He's like, "Yeah, I know a guy named Mike Fusco." So
Yeah.
I reached out to him at Fusco and Orzini, and all because I would never known this guy beforehand, but all because of virtual meetings and getting to know him in different chat rooms and whatever else. I
Yeah.
say chat rooms like it's AOL 97, but you know what I mean? Different Facebook chats and
Yeah.
whatnot. And, we got to know each other. And you talk about care package, which reminded me, he sent me one for the referral, but I was like, well, who am I referring business to somebody in California? And it's nuts, but you get to know these people and you find out what they do. It just makes our world that much closer. And
Isn't it
there's
awesome?
really the best thing about that I tell people is there's no excuses anymore.
No.
Zero. And people say, well, I don't like being on camera. Okay, well, shut the camera off. You still got a voice. I
Yeah.
just jump on Clubhouse, do something else. I mean, you don't have to be on camera. So
Sure.
uh, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
absolutely crazy that there's
Yeah.
no excuses anymore.
Speaking of referrals, you mentioned IAOA before, and that was
Yeah.
something that I have not been as active in the last few years as I've been wrapping my arms around taking over my dad's agency, but I was before. I only just recently jumped back into it, but everybody I've talked to is like, dude, you got to get involved. For those that don't know about it, can you share with us like what that is, how it's changed, what can it do for agents?
Yeah, it's the cool thing about IAOA. I think it stands for Insurance Owners Aid. Wait, IA. Oh yeah, Independent Agency Owners Alliance. I think. But anyway,
Yeah,
it's only owners. It's
yeah,
only owners. So you're not going to get into this group and find a bunch of fly-by-night yahoos or a bunch of account managers or front desk people or whatever. It's just owners.
sure,
And so owners are a different breed and they think a different way. And
yeah,
so when they collaborate, they talk about things. You're collaborating with decision makers, just like you. You're collaborating with people that have the same issues that you have with employees or with technology or with which agency management system do I choose or which networking group do I get? I mean, all the same issues you face, whether you're
yeah,
in California or New York, you're going to deal with the same issues, the same struggles as any other agency owner. And so it's really cool to be able to be a part of that. And I was a part of it when I was in the agency world as an agency owner and fell in love with it. This was early on when they first started, but got to know Nick Ayers and Captain Dave Jackson and some of those guys. And it changed my life, and getting to meet some of these people and collaborate because so much of growing up in this industry, as again, as second generation, nobody wanted to share anything. It's like, I'm not
yeah.
telling you
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
You're going to steal all my stuff. And I'm like, no,
Yep.
I'm not. I'm not going to do that. I just, want to know if it's working for you, what could it work for me or vice versa. And so
Yeah.
um, I always believed in collaboration and I always believed in sharing information and networking and relationship building. And so I never understood people that had that scarcity mindset. Ridiculous.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think the generation before us was definitely in that mindset. And
Our dad.
yes, yeah. Listen, love my dad. Dad, love you if you're
Me
listening.
too.
But
Yeah,
but
me
like
too.
but like that, right? Everybody, it's no secret that this is so different. I mean, when I started doing all this stuff on social media, what we used to call digital marketing back in the day, he was very like, "Whoa, are you sure you want to be putting us out there like that?" And then once we started getting some actual business from it, referrals and things like that, he's like, "Okay, okay." So, yeah,
Yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And that's how my dad was too in the beginning,
yeah,
because I would, collaborate with other agents and I would talk to my competition and we'd go to lunch, whatever, and, chit chat, swap ideas and whatnot. I'd be like, why are you doing it? Why are you telling them our secrets? I'm like,
yeah.
they're never going to do it. No matter what I tell
Right.
them, I could give them my entire playbook and lay it
Yeah.
out, but they're not going to do it.
Right.
They're too inherently lazy or they're stuck in their own ways. They're not going to change. And if they do, who cares? There's enough business to go around.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I got on LinkedIn before we aired or before we recorded the show, and I did ask a few people if they had questions for you. I'm wondering if you could answer some of them. One of the most important ones came from Stacy King. You know Stacy.
Oh, yeah, that's my girl. Yeah, love
Yeah,
her.
she's awesome. Yeah, she and I grew up in the industry with her, and I've told this before. Like I
Yeah,
was,
she's in
you know,
Georgia.
yeah, exactly. So she asked, how did he become known as the mayor?
Oh, that goes back to relationships. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, and I'll speed this up because I don't want to take too much time, but I was going to a lot of conferences and I was involved in a lot of different events and networking and whatnot. One day I was in Branson, Missouri, going to a conference. I forgot what the conference was or why I was even there, but I was at the conference and I'm at there and I'm getting my badge. You gotta get your name badge and go through the registration process. And the lady that's behind the thing hands me a badge that says the mayor. And I was like, where's my name badge? This is not me. And here, mind you, I'm like 28, 29 at this
Yeah.
time, maybe 30. And it's probably 10 years ago. And just, no, you're the mayor. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, everywhere we go, people are asking, where's Heath? Where's Heath? Is he here? And we want to hang out with him or whatever it was. I don't say it to brag, but it
Sure.
was just one of those things.
Yeah.
And everywhere I went from that point forward, people were, locally anyway, were you're the mayor. And so then it just became a joke. And my wife runs an association here locally, and so she put the mayor on all my name tags and everything that I did. And at first she's poking fun of me, and on top of that, my kids hate going anywhere with me in the little town I live in because I know everybody at the grocery store. I know everybody at the Walmart or the restaurants we go to. I'll stop at 5 or 6 tables before I sit down with the family and shake hands and kiss babies, just because I love people.
Yeah, man. Well, and I
So the
mean,
mayor just kind of stuck.
yeah, it speaks so well to what we're talking about, networking and building relationships, right? It was like, I remember my brother-in-law when we went, my wife and I, and he all went to Boston College. And anytime we'd walk across campus, he was the same way. Like it would normally take you like 2 minutes to walk across the quad. It would take him like 30. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was the same way. I went to a small college. I live in a small town.
Yeah.
I mean, once I left Atlanta in 8th grade, and once I moved to the small town in Arkansas, it's just, that big fish, small pond thing. Just,
Yeah.
I took hold of that and ran with it.
Yeah. We're sad that you left, man. It's nice here.
Yeah,
It's quiet without you. No.
right. I liked living there. It's cool.
Yeah. Um, Brian Wang asked, what strategy around building relationships is there a strategy that you can share around building relationships with referral partners?
Yeah, I think that when you go into relationships with referral partners, you need to have the attitude of what can I do to serve them instead of how can they refer me business. I think if you go into it with the attitude of, let's say you want to get that mortgage lender to send you more leads, if you go in with the attitude of, how can I serve you? What can I do to help you? If you go in with a referral for them, to maybe say, hey, here's a realtor that sends me business, you might be able to get some business from them. Or if you're looking for, business from, somebody else, in your community, a CPA, whatever. I think that always go with the attitude of how you can serve them first, how you can be the first to the table with the referral. And if you go with that servant mindset, even if it's like, when I was early on in my career, there was a realtor that I really wanted business from, and he was always complaining about, I hate putting out signs. So I went out and put out all the signs for him
Ha.
in the yard, and he was like, "You willing to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, just for anything. I don't care who you send me. Send me your grandma, your dad, your mom, whatever. Just send me somebody to quote." And sure enough, to this day, he's one of my close friends and referral partners.
Oh, we lost you there for a
I mean, I've
second.
always just served first.
Yeah. We lost you there for a second. We can edit that out, but you started to say that um, like send me anybody, send me your grandmother, I'll quote anybody, and I just want to, yeah. And then we lost you.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good.
Um, send me anybody, whether it's your mom, your dad, somebody, your neighbor that you don't even like. I just wanted somebody to be able to quote business for. And to this day, we're still good friends. We still have lunch together on Fridays, and we still get together. And like I said, it's just an attitude of being a servant and looking to provide value to everybody you meet. And putting out signs helped me to do that for that person. Um, filing paperwork for mortgage lenders, doing stupid things like that early on meant
Yeah.
a lot. Or inviting them to my BNI group, or inviting them to different things that I was going to. I just always wanted to have that attitude. Don't ever go into it expecting a handout.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna just give you business just because you're good looking or because you're a cool guy. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So that's my advice there. It's kind of simple and easy, but that's just the best thing I can give people.
I think it's brilliant. And it's, well, first of all, it makes for a much more fulfilled life. And second of all, I think it also, it speaks so well to the formula of find what somebody's problem is first and then figure out how to solve it for them. So like the guy with the signs, I mean, that's a perfect example, so it's, how can we
Yeah, dude.
solve somebody's pain point? And then
Yeah,
once we do, it's like the thought of putting money into the emotional bank account. Like now you can make a withdrawal because you've just made a deposit. So
yeah.
it's
You're exactly right.
beautiful, beautiful. Do you know James Jenkins?
Yeah, know him well.
Yeah, he's a good guy. We had him on the show recently, and he said, Heath spent almost a decade as a carrier rep. Then he went to the retail agency side for almost 4 years, then back to the carrier side again for a couple of years. And he says, now that you're on the consultant side and you're talking with retail agents daily, how has your diverse professional experience shaped the conversations you have with agents and the advice that you give?
Oh, wow. James Jenkins, you
I
stand
mean,
back against son of a gun. A
yeah,
great
so
question.
put as eloquently as only James Jenkins could, right?
Yes, golly. And I'm when you're reading that, I didn't hear it in Jim's voice. I heard it in James Jenkins' deep voice,
Right.
and I was like, "Oh, okay." No,
Right. Yeah. Take
I
it down 3 octaves. Yeah.
right. Okay, so that's a great question because it gives a perspective of I've got so many different avenues I can go with that question, but um, it's just I understand both sides of the coin there. So whenever I'm talking to a producer, for example, if I'm consulting with them and we're talking about overcoming objections, and they ask me, and I'll ask them, for example, I had this happen yesterday. Give me an objection that you've gotten that you're trying to overcome, and they were talking about the simple rate increase, and I was like, okay, from the carrier perspective, that carrier probably had one of the worst years ever as far as loss ratio goes. They probably had, a huge accident happen or a total loss or something happened that drove that up. Nothing you could do about that. Explain that transparently to your customers and say, hey, here's what's going on. Also, a lot of times as a carrier, we would file rates with the state.
Mm,
Let's say I'd go to the state of Arkansas and file for a 12% increase. Then they would come back and say, no, not going to happen. We want you to file a 20% increase. And, a lot of times they would mandate that. Or we needed to, file for something, it wouldn't happen. The other big thing was, and I had this come up recently, was, someone was, talking to me about, again, auto rates. And I was like, think about it. Jim, when you and I were growing up, the cars that we drove didn't have backup cams. They
right.
weren't made out of the same material they made out of now. I mean, I drove a 1987 Hoopty, Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. That thing was incredible. But there was no backup cam. There was no electronics in that. There was no,
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't have a tape deck. That sucker had an 8-track in it. And
Yeah.
so, to replace that car costs, half of, not even half, probably way less than half of what it would cost to replace that today
Yeah.
because of the modern technology and the way they build the cars. But understanding that from the carrier perspective brings a whole different light to it. And then understanding if they want to build out a niche, I understand the way carriers think about that and
Mm,
what they want to see and to say, okay, what can you bring to the table? How much premium can you bring? And they'll be able to come back and forth to say, okay, in this field, we've had this many losses, so it may not be a good niche to get into, or, and I can help an agent to be able to come fully prepared for that meeting. And so like I said, a dozen years in that, I think like a carrier,
yeah.
but my mindset also, I think like an agent because I spent
Yeah.
half and half. So,
A hybrid. Yeah.
um, yeah, it's kind of fun. I don't know if that answers James's questions correctly, but it's just one of those things that it gives me a unique leg up over another consultant that doesn't have both
Yeah.
backgrounds and successful in both. I've won, marketing rep of the year a couple of times, and I've won agent of the year, and so I've won, both sides of it. So I've been successful in both. Not to brag, but I do know where that pain point is from both perspectives.
Well, you're playing to your strengths, right? And I think that people who are listening to this who may have, gone back and forth or switched from carrier to agency or agency to carrier, like they need to be thinking that. Like don't think of it as a disadvantage. The fact that you spent time here and now you're trying to learn something else, use what you learned where you were before and apply that to where you are now. So,
And well, that was one of the things that early on I had this goal of when I first started off, I worked for a broker,
mhm,
work comp broker. And then I was like, all right, it's time to step up to the big boys and I want to work for a big time carrier. This
yeah,
was after starting off as an agent for 7 years. So I was like, I'm going to learn everything I can from the carrier side. So I went from work comp broker to a large carrier. And then I was like, you know what? It's time to jump back on the agency side. So I had this progression of what I want. I was like very intentional in where I wanted to work. And before my second stint on the agency side, I went to work for a personal lines carrier. So the first carrier I worked for was commercial driven at EMC. And the second one was an Allstate carrier that, was personal lines only at Encompass. So I was able to learn niche specific work comp, and then I was able to learn commercial, and then round that out with personal lines experience, and all pretty large carriers from AIG to EMC to Encompass, owned by Allstate. So I got some pretty cool perspectives, a pretty cool experience there, and then went back right into the agency world. So it's pretty fun.
that's awesome. One last question from folks that submitted stuff online. Gabe O, who I was telling you about before, he said, "Do you have any tips on training or coaching someone that does not feel comfortable with sales?" I know Gabe is an agency owner himself, and he's probably thinking about you know, somebody that maybe he's going to bring on that might not be as comfortable.
Man, comfortable with sales, such a broad topic there. Um, but what I would do again, when you go back to that, is to dissect the problem at the head of the problem and say, okay, what's the issue? What are they having troubles with opening the doors? Are they having problems with closings? Are they having problems with the idea of I don't believe in the product, so I'm not going to sell it? Or are they just naturally a better fit for customer service?
Yeah.
And so I'll give you a story sell, in my opinion.
Yes,
I
sir.
had a I had a good friend of mine, and he was a underwriter for a large carrier for a long, long time. And he decided he wanted to go on the agency side. And he was like, "Dude, I'm not comfortable with selling. Never sold. I don't know anything about selling. I don't know what I'm doing." And I was like, dude, you have an advantage and a leg up that nobody else has. You've worked as an underwriter. You know how to read policies like nobody else. You know the ins and outs of what's in that policy, what coverages are there. Come at it from that perspective. When you're visiting with a client, be honest with them and tell them, listen, I'm not a flashy salesman. I'm not coming in to lie to you, cheat, and steal you. I'm coming in because I want to improve your current deal right now. Whatever your current insurance package is right now, I want to look at it, dissect it. I know it better than the guy down the street. I know it better than
Yeah.
anybody else because I was an underwriter. So again, go back to what you said earlier, not to steal your words, but just to play your strengths.
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, go into it with that mindset, the analytical mindset, show them the numbers, show them the things that you're best at. You won't win everybody, but the ones that you do win will be loyal to you for life because they trust you. And most salesmen, and I say this, somewhat in jest, but most salesmen are going to be those sleazy car salesman type. They're going to come
Sure.
in and, 15% in 15 minutes or whatever it may
Yeah.
be. A caveman could do it or whatever the stupid things are.
Yeah.
They're going to come at you with cliche, stupid phrases. They're going to try to beat you down on price. But if you come into it and add value
Yeah.
from whatever that is, so I'd find out that producer he's trying to bring on or convert to a producer or an agent selling, be like, okay, selling doesn't have to be a bottom dollar price thing, or it doesn't have to be a coverage thing. It could be whatever your strengths are. For me
Yeah.
personally, I sold so much solely on my relationships with people.
Yeah.
I would admit to them straight up, listen, I don't know the first thing about coverages. I don't really. I have a CSR that could kill it for you. You call her, she'll tell you everything you know about the ins and outs of the policy. What I can
Yeah.
tell you is I'm gonna be your best friend. I'm gonna be there for you. You need me. I'm gonna take care of you when you need somebody to take care of you. If you've got a situation or an issue, I'll be that guy. Whatever you need. And I sold a lot just based on that. But I knew I had a team behind me that took care of the other parts that I wasn't good at. And so, even going back as an agency owner, I did the same thing. Listen, I got a team behind me that's way better at this stuff than I am.
Right.
And they just wanted to buy from me because I was the agency owner.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, cool, I'll sell it to you. But um, just because I could sell anything just based on relationships,
Sure.
I didn't necessarily have to have every bit of knowledge. I can tell you right now, I barely know how to spell insurance when it comes to the ins and outs of a policy language. I don't know that.
Yeah.
but I know enough to be dangerous, and I know the
Sure.
concept well enough. And so I've just always looked at myself as more of a salesman from that perspective of building relationships and taking care of needs and customer service, things like that, than I am a customer or a agent that knows knowledge and knows the ins and outs of a policy like an underwriter would.
Yeah. Well, I love it. And you're bringing it back full circle to what we started the conversation about, which was building relationships and networking. So, you ready for the rapid fire round?
Oh yeah, rapid
Yeah.
fire. Let's
All
go.
right. First question. Actually, this one was not planned, but for those of you, for those who are maybe viewing this, are you actually in a spaceship right now?
No.
Okay, because I see like balls, like basketballs floating, and there's like a rim of lights. And no, you're not on a spaceship. Okay, okay.
No. No, maybe I should start Insurance Planet instead of Insurance Town.
I
But
know, right,
there you
man? Why think small? Seriously.
go.
Okay.
Right.
Well, one piece of technology or software that you can't live without.
Oh, my cell phone.
Anything in particular on it? Just like, are you are you one of those old school people who actually talks into their cell phones?
Oh no, no, no. I don't. Sorry. I do if I need to, but no. Really, I'm a LinkedIn guy, and so
Yeah,
the LinkedIn app gets used regularly. I love
yeah,
LinkedIn.
awesome. Yeah, that's that is where I jammed as well. One book that you either are reading now or that you absolutely love and want to share with people.
Right now, I am reading the book. It's an EOS book called it's Traction. Have you read
Yep.
Traction?
Not only did we read it, we implemented EOS in our agency.
That's perfect. Yeah, we're in the process of reading it right now, and Kelly's a big believer in that. And so, being a part of APP now, I've got to implement some of that too. So it's right up my alley, man. It's the way I think anyway, and
That's
so I
awesome.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
Dude, Gino
Traction.
Wickman,
Gino Wickman.
awesome,
Yep. Yep.
so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, man. We
I've
could
tried
talk
to get
about
him
that
on my
for
show,
hours.
bro.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to, but he keeps turning me down.
uh,
So. I'm gonna try and try and try. One day you're gonna see the Gino Wickman came to Insurance Town, and
I
so it's
would
gonna be the
love it,
best
man.
episode.
I would
It'll
love
be the
it.
best episode. If I get him on, you can be my co-host.
I would love that. Yes. I mean, seriously,
Yeah,
he has changed the way that we run
yeah,
our agency and for the better. And I mean, it's literally all we've been eating, drinking, breathing, sleeping for the last 2 years. And
solid.
it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
It
I'm
is a
happy
beautiful
for
thing.
you that you guys are doing it. For those that are listening, if you go to audibletrial.com/grow big, if I don't, do you listen to books on Audible or do you mostly read?
Both. It
Yeah.
depends. I walk my dog every morning. I listen to something on there, whether it's a podcast or a book.
Yep.
But a lot of times I buy the book and read it.
Yeah. I a lot of times what I do is like preview it first or like listen to the whole thing all the way through first on Audible, and I usually listen to it speed and half, so it's like but I can listen to it fast enough like I can still understand it. But yeah,
The problem I'll
audibletrial.com.
say, the problem I will say, hold on. If it's
Yeah.
written, I mean, if it's read by the author, I'm all in. But if it's read by some guy with a monotone voice and he's a terrible, moderator of
Yeah.
the book, I'm
Yeah.
out. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No,
Audible.
I totally get you. But yeah, if for those that want to get a free trial, just go to audibletrial.com/grow big. And you get, I think, one free book, maybe one free month. But I mean, I'm listening to one book probably every week and a half or 2 weeks, depending on how much commute time I have to finish the books in my car. So I'm driving my kids all over the place right now, so I got plenty of time. Um, Finally, one final piece of advice or actionable step for the audience that you would leave them based on what we talked about today.
Oh man, I would say never ever stop focusing on the relationship and pressing flesh and never stop getting to know people and serving others and looking for ways to impact other people and in a positive way. I think that I don't care if it's 2047 and we have flying cars and skateboards. People are still going to be, and we're ran by robots and it's the Jetsons. I don't care. We're
Yeah,
still going to have relationships. There's still going to be a key component Because even people that buy insurance online, they still come back to Jim to get answers to their questions, or they still come back to you, the agent listening, and say, "Hey, I bought this online at Geico, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what this reads." And so the relationships will always be there.
Yeah. Love it. Love
Yep.
it.
And I hope I'm not wrong. If I am, then we're in a bad place. But I don't think I am.
No, I don't think you are. I don't think you are. I lied. There's actually one more question. If I said to you right now, Heath, are you craving gourmet marshmallows or are you craving soup? What would you say?
Soup,
Soup? What kind of soup?
chicken noodle soup, baby.
Heck yeah, man. I'm gonna send you some soup
That's fun.
from
Yeah,
Spoonful of Comfort. We send it to all of our guests, and well, for those that choose soup, we send it to our guests. You're gonna love it. It's got it's a whole package. And are you gonna be around? We're recording this just before Christmas. Are you gonna be around after Christmas? Or are you heading anywhere?
yeah. No, I'm here.
Okay, good. Because somebody's got to be there to get the soup, man.
Yeah, dude, for sure. We'll be there.
Awesome, brother. Where can people find you if they want to get some more Heath Shearon in their life?
Man, I'm all over LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I post as much as I can,
Yeah, you
at
do.
least every day. So, and I appreciate your reshare the other day. But
Yeah.
and that's just look for me, Heath Shearon, and that's SHEARON, or insurancetown.com, insurancetownpodcast.com, excuse me, or you can just email me, Heath at agencyperformancepartners.com, or Heath at insurancetown.com. Either way, you search Insurance Town, you're gonna find me. And so
You are
that's
truly
my.
the mayor. I mean, basically, what I just heard you say was, you can find me anywhere, Jim.
I'm in space, baby. I'm in space.
Right? I mean, you're in a spaceship, so why not? Oh my gosh. Heath, dude, it was a pleasure having you today. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this with our
Jim,
guests.
I've loved it. I really have. It's fun to be on the other side of the microphone and getting
I
to
know,
be
right? You
interviewed.
get
That's
to
fun.
relax a little bit.
Why don't you come to Insurance Town? I'll send the private jet, come pick you up, and I'll have the limo waiting. We'll do it. We'll have you come to Insurance Town.
Send me your spaceship and I'll get on it and I'll come over.
Yes, you got it. You
God bless
got
you,
it.
brother. It was great to have you here. Folks, get ready to grow big or go home. Peace out. See you later.